Thank you for joining us for the benefits of eligibility verification using transcript services.
I'll kick things off by just a quick introduction of myself. I'm Leah McCormack. I serve as the Vice President overseeing the Eligibility Center for the NAIA. We'll kind of talk a little bit about this partnership today, and I wanted to kick things off by also having Josh Smith, our transfer team lead, introduce himself. He might be a new face to some of our NAIA registrars, but he is actually your newest liaison to the Registrars Association. So go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, as Leah said, my name is Josh Smith. I am the team lead for our domestic transfer team. So we handle, I'm sure you know, the eligibility processing for students who graduated high school in the US and are a semester or more out of high school. Like Leah said, I am the new Registrars Association liaison, and I'm very much looking forward to working with you all more in the future.
And hi, everyone. I'm Samantha Hanson. I am the Senior Product Manager for Transcript Services at the National Student Clearinghouse.
Okay, well, let's dive in. Samantha's going to go over the agenda and we'll talk a little bit about the benefits.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover today: the Clearinghouse and NAIA partnership, the mechanics of the partnership, what is transcript services, why the Clearinghouse benefits institutions. We'll go over some numbers for transcript services. I'll quickly go over the student experience for ordering, some delivery options we offer, and then the school administrative pages, as well as what we offer for customer support.
Okay, so really, I wanted to give a little bit of background about what it is that brought the Clearinghouse and the NAI to this partnership and to this presentation today. So a little bit of background: the Eligibility Center has been in operation for just over 10 years now, going on 11. And one of the continuous challenges that we've had is the ease of transfer students being able to come through the center. A lot of them don't realize that we need official transcripts from each of the previous higher education schools that they've attended in order to become eligible. So students largely have had to navigate that on their own. So going through the requesting, the sending, and the purchasing of those transcripts from each institution individually to get those to the Eligibility Center. As you all know, the process can be incredibly time consuming. Students are often kind of confused about the various policies that each institution brings to the table and trying to navigate that on an individual basis. So we looked at this and really tried to find a strategic partner who could help us solve the student challenges and at the same time bring benefits and services to you all as our members that can ultimately help your registrar's offices receive some benefits as well. So that was what we were trying to solve. When we worked with the Clearinghouse, first of all, this kind of put some structure around a partnership that's been informal for years, just because the Clearinghouse is positioned as such a leader in higher education with such a reputation. That was really important to us, that we were finding someone who's really at the forefront of the field, both in terms of the research that the Clearinghouse is producing, but also in terms of the cutting edge services that are out there as well. So for us, that was really important to find an industry leader and also to find an organization that was really well aligned from a missions and values standpoint, which we found in the Clearinghouse. So the crux of this whole thing is really around both of our institutions having an interest in bringing about intended outcomes, both from a better end-to-end processing for you all as members, as well as alleviating that burden that our transfer student athletes are experiencing. And Josh is going to talk about the nuts and bolts of what the partnership looks like and what it means for a student to be able to order. But essentially what this has done is created an automated process that student athletes now do not need to request their transcripts individually for institutions that are in the Clearinghouse's network. So what this means is, and Josh will show you what it looks like, but when they're registering, student athletes have the option to go ahead and get those requests in at the point of Play NAIA registration. The reason this is so important is because it basically takes about half of the institutions that are out there in higher education. Students no longer have to navigate the sending of those transcripts on their own, but additionally, they don't have to pay the fee associated with purchasing that transcript submission. And instead, that burden has shifted to the NAI. So we are now paying that fee on behalf of students. I think that's important because Josh will talk about how that doesn't mean that you all don't get paid. You still receive your fee for that order, but student athletes no longer need to pay that. So that's kind of at the highest level, the way in which this partnership is coming together to provide a better end-to-end process for students. And what we're hoping ends up happening is that student athletes actually get through the process of receiving their eligibility decision quicker, which ultimately you all as registrars who are certifying and helping certify on campus, hopefully we help make your job a little bit easier. The last bullet point on here is just something that I wanted to hit on today, and the reason why Samantha is going to delve into the variety of services that the Clearinghouse offers. The real ask here is just for NAIA schools to explore what opportunities there are for embarking upon Clearinghouse benefits and services. So if you aren't already using them, hopefully you learned something today that will help you kind of engage in that and potentially explore it. Or if you are already in the Clearinghouse network, they have a variety of additional products out there. The more NAIA schools who are using the Clearinghouse's network, and in particular opting into the virtual submission of transcripts, basically the more students benefit. And that virtual submission, I'm sure Samantha will talk a little bit about that, but that's an option that, because we've integrated our technology systems so profoundly, those transcripts can get to the NAIA within literally minutes, which is a huge revolution in the industry compared to what students are going through now with the fact that it can take days once they get their request in, just for that to get processed on the front end, let alone then the receiving side of it. So we're really excited about the benefits here. Samantha's going to talk to you a whole bunch in depth around what this looks like from the Clearinghouse's products. And then Josh is going to tell you a little bit about what it looks like to the student, which is the real customer here and the individuals who are receiving really the most benefit. So I'll turn it over to you, Josh.
Yeah, great. So as Leah mentioned, through this partnership, so the Play NAIA system and the Clearinghouse network have become fairly integrated. And like Leah said, one of the ultimate goals is just to make the students' process of requesting transcripts much simpler than it has been in the past. So not a lot actually changes for the student while registering through Play NAIA. So they'll continue to list every post-secondary institution that they've attended. The Play NAIA system actually will automatically identify if that institution is in the Clearinghouse network. So I think a lot of times we see students call the Eligibility Center asking, how do I actually request my transcript? And we sometimes have to go out, or the student has to go out and figure out which particular service does a particular institution use. And with this integration, it's actually simplifies that particular piece of that process as well, because the Play NAIA system itself is identifying which institutions are part of the Clearinghouse network. At the end of the registration process for a student, the student will have the option of requesting the transcript through the National Student Clearinghouse. And all they'll actually need to do is just kind of enter the student identification information that's required by that specific institution to request a transcript. So that might be just that student's institutional specific identification number, or it may be their social security number. And just kind of as a note, like the Play NAIA system will not house any of that information like the social security or anything like that. But once the student enters that information, the Play NAIA system itself will kind of just send that order directly to the National Student Clearinghouse to order that particular transcript from that institution. After the student submits their profile, they'll see the transcript task as normal for any institution within the Clearinghouse network. So that's what you see here, that first awaiting college university transcript task, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. But if you notice, that task is actually now assigned to the National Student Clearinghouse if the student is requesting it through the Clearinghouse network. And then if the student clicks into that transcript task, you'll also notice some additional details just about the partnership with the National Student Clearinghouse. But also I think like really beneficial and even more helpful than that is there's actually an order status that's linked to the Clearinghouse network as well. So it tells the student if the order has been sent, if the order has been fulfilled, if the order can't be fulfilled. So that information will be housed within the Play NAIA system as well. So it's kind of just all the information that they need to order the transcript from a particular institution that's within the Clearinghouse network can be found in the Play NAIA system on their profile. So ultimately, like this process is almost completely hands-off for the student. And it's the Play NAIA system that identifies the institutions within the Clearinghouse network. The NAIA itself pays for and even submits the orders to the Clearinghouse. And then the Eligibility Center kind of on the back end, as we've always been doing, we kind of continue to match the documents to the student profiles once those orders are fulfilled and we receive those transcripts. So it is a pretty hands-off process for the student athlete. And as Leah mentioned, that's one of the ultimate goals in this partnership. It really just simplifies it and it makes it like a much quicker process for the student. So an overall better experience for the student for the institutions for you guys as registrars as well. So we'll go ahead and pass it over to Samantha just to talk more about the different services that the National Student Clearinghouse provides, similar to the integration with Plan NAIA.
Yeah, and really quick before you do that, we have one question that's really specific to the Plan AI stuff. The question was, if a school is not in the Clearinghouse's network, will NAI still assign the task to the student in school like it does now? So the answer is yes, but one caveat, just so that it's not relevant to this partnership, but it is just an upgrade that we just did, which is what in this task detail, while we're checking if it's a clearinghouse school, we're also checking if it's a parchment school. And if it is a parchment school, then we've integrated a link so that instead of on this details to task, it's saying the stuff about the clearinghouse, it will say that this is a parchment institution and click here to go order it. The difference is the student still has to go order it. So then they get kicked out to the parchment URL where they can go handle that on their own. They do have to pay for that and then handle that, the request of that transcript kind of on their own. But what we've done is just make it a little bit easier, like Josh said, where we've identified its parchment and we've told them exactly where to go. If the school is neither those institutions, then it is exactly the same process as it is today. The task list will look exactly the same and the student will be in charge of figuring out how to send that transcript. So good question. Then Samantha, so we're good to turn it over in your direction.
Thank you. And I'm going to start talking about what is transcript services with the National Student Clearinghouse. So today we have a bunch of different type of orders, such as NAIA, or the student and alumni themselves, or an admissions services organization, or an admissions office can come in and order the transcript from the National Student Clearinghouse. Mostly it's going to be a student or an alumni coming in, and they're going to go to our ordering site, place their request, and then we will send it off to the institution, either via one of our integration options or to our school secure administrative site for them to go in and see the order and process that order. If you are one of our integrated schools, then it automatically does it for you. And then it sends the transcript back to the clearinghouse and we send it off to the recipient, be it another school, an admission services, back to NAIA, or to a third party such as the student themselves. This is a high level of how the service works for transcript services. Our service is 24/7 online ordering for the student alumni. It's mobile and tablet friendly. We do offer branded ordering pages with your institution's logos and colors, and you can update your information on the welcome page is what we call it, so students know what they're required to do for an order, what's required with the order, such as clearing holds, things like that. We have a bunch of different configuration options that's school specific that we would go over with you during our implementation process. Students can upload an additional document to be sent with their transcript if you choose to offer that. And we have a bunch of different delivery options to admission services, such as AMCAS, LSAC, Nursing CAS, Farm CAS, all of the CASs. We have an integration with them as well and send the electronic transcript over to them for quicker processing. We also offer you, the school, to add an additional transcript fee on top of the clearinghouse fee to the student or the organization, and you would receive that fee, such as a $5 fee for transcripts or whatever your institution charges today. We remit that to you on a monthly basis. Our ordering site is accessible via a public website, our service MyHub, which is a learner portal where they can get more information about their learner records at your institution. If you use a student service, this is the new replacement, but with a lot more options. They can also see credentials there. If you use Paradigm for diploma services, they can order their CE diploma there. So lots of different options within that MyHub, but there is also a link to order the transcript. And then we also offer a single sign-on connection from your student portal if you choose to do that as well. As I mentioned, we have many different delivery options. We have our print fulfillment service called NSC Secure Print. We also offer our in-network exchange network, so Electronic Transcript Exchange or ETX, Speedy, and then out-of-network, which is our electronic PDF download center. And then if you choose to offer a hold for pickup option for your students or want to mail out that transcript yourselves, we offer those as well. With transcript services, we have 3 different integration options. The first one being fast. We offer you the online ordering option there. Our fee collection is PCI compliant on our ordering site. We do provide status updates to the student via email, and if they opt in, text messaging. We offer different online processing and statusing of orders that they would see that they can track in our Track Your Order module. We offer real-time reporting to you, the institution, and there's no IT resources required. Everything is done on our administrative portal, on our Clearinghouse School Secure site. They would just go in and be able to see each order. They can sort the different types of orders, and I will show you that once we get to those administrative pages. The next option is our faster option. So it offers the same thing that Fast did, except for this is an option to integrate via what we call a batch file or a hosted integration service, where we will batch up a file of the new orders up to 3 times a day, send it to an SFTP account, and you can pull that into your student information system, and then you'd produce back the fulfillment response file with the transcripts themselves if they're going electronically or via our secure print service. So it is an integration. It does require a limited amount of IT resources, but it does reduce the time it takes you to fulfill the transcripts because you're not manually going in and touching each order. The integration via batch file does that for you. And then our biggest option, which is our fastest option, is a full integration with your student information system. So it offers all the same things that Fast did, but we actually integrate with your student information system via Ellucian, Banner, Colleague, Power Campus, PeopleSoft, homegrown systems, Genzabar, any student information system we can integrate with. And it actually does real-time verification during the order of that student. It also checks for transcript holds if the student has any, and also checks for future processing options such as hold for grades or hold for degree if you use those options. It does require IT resources to get those connections and configurations done, but we're there with you every step of the way for those integration options.
And Samantha, just one kind of editorial, that fastest is the one in which those transcripts will arrive to the Eligibility Center within 15 minutes of the student registering. So that's just a point of note. The other ones, the order still has to get processed, or you as the administrator will have to do what you do through your hub in order to get those things moving. But the fastest, the green path over here, is the one that's really completely automated on both ends of the system.
Correct. And it should reduce your time that you touch transcripts. You shouldn't have to touch around 95% of those. They all flow through automatically. Of course, there will be some you'll have to touch if the student's not found and things like that. So what benefits does a clearinghouse provide institution? For transcript services specifically, the more institutions who participate in the clearinghouse transcript services will offer your students more opportunity and benefit from this partnership with NAIA, so the transcripts get over to NAIA quickly and efficiently and with the correct delivery option, so either electronic or via mail to the correct mailing address, because that does automatically populate for them. It is free to institutions with the ability to collect a fee for the transcript, which we remit to you on a monthly basis. We offer customer service for students, alumni, and you, the institutions. Our exchange networks are free to sign up to receive transcripts on, so we don't charge you anything, the institution, for signing up for our exchange network. We can integrate with any student information system, and we have a variety of options under that service, such as our partnerships with NAIA, the CAS's, admission services, different things like that. And we provide back to the education community with new services for learners, schools, and educational organizations. So, for example, we built this partnership and service with NAIA to service your students and get transcripts to them quicker and not require them to pay for that transcript. So we do provide back to the education community as much as possible. So we do have over 1,300 institutions that are active with our transcript services. On our exchange network, there's over 2,000 receivers, both internationally and within the US. Our integration to that fastest option, the green one, we do have about 559 institutions using that service. And in fiscal year 21 for the clearinghouse, which was July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021, we processed over 5.7 million orders via our transcript services. And we have about 250 NAIA schools that use our transcript services as well. So on to the student experience. So this is our ordering site. As I mentioned, it's mobile and tablet friendly. So they can order while they're on the go 24/7 because we know students are always on their phones. We do brand your ordering site with your logo and banner color. So this is Hometown Universities. And this is information that the school put in here that they wanted their students to know about placing a transcript request. And then the bottom option is just the clearinghouse notification about payment. Then they can click order a transcript or view that transcript order status. And that's our tracking module that they can get to after they place their request. Via email, we send it and the confirmation. It's on our public website. And we also provide our institutions a link directly to it to put on their website as well. So once I get over to place my order, we do ask for some personal information from the student. This is configurable per your institution. So if you didn't want to collect the social security number, you didn't have to, or the student ID, we just put what's most common for most of our schools on here. Of course, we have to collect first name, last name, and date of birth. And then we also can collect additional information at the bottom about when that student attended your school. We do also collect the student's current address, their email address, and their phone number so that we can send those status notifications to them via email and if they opt in via their phone number as well. We do ask for the address, but we only ask the student to enter it in one time throughout the request. So if it's needed throughout the other parts, such as payment, we do pre-populate that for them. And then we get over to the delivery area. So as I mentioned, we have a bunch of different receivers that you can choose from. We do have colleges and universities within the US and some international as well. Educational organizations, application service scholarships, employer, other, or myself is who I can send my transcript to. And when I do select one of those options, depending on if it's a organization or a school institution, it's going to populate some more options for them below to either type in or select. So when I do select these educational organizations, it does give me a drop down with all of our receivers on there so they can select that. If they don't see their option, they can type it in. But as I mentioned, we do have a partnership with CASs as well, and they enter their CAS ID right here on the screen. We save it and then add it into the transcript once we get it back to you in the header and send it off to the organization. When I continue on, here's just some more information for delivery, such as future processing options. You do different transcript types, and we also collect the transcript purpose if you opt in to do that. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we have a bunch of different delivery options for you to choose from to offer to your students, such as our print fulfillment options, which we do certified mail, express mail, mail international, and mail US, electronic in and out of network. If you choose to do hold for pickup, that as well. I mentioned this attachments, so you can allow the student to upload an additional document with their transcript, and then at the bottom they'll see how much it's going to cost for that specific transcript. And then they can continue on. If it's going mail or out of network, they would type in their mailing address here or their email address. If it is going via mail, we do verify all US and Canadian addresses via our address verification service. So that would be done right here on this screen. I click add to cart, and then the student does have to sign a consent form, which they can do with their mouse or with their finger if they're on their phone, or if they want to print out and mail that consent form in or email it back to us, they can do so down here by doing this paper copy. The last step in the process is the credit card if there is a fee associated with the transcript. And as I mentioned, we do pre-populate their address in here if it is the same as their contact address. We are PCI compliant, as I mentioned, for fee collections, and the student is not charged for the transcript until it's been sent out if there is a fee associated with the transcript. So that was very quick run through of our ordering site. It is a brief ordering site, so to get the students in and out of ordering a transcript as quick as possible. Our transcript order status module, as I mentioned, they can view after they place their order. They'll be able to see each status for each recipient, and they can click in here and view the details of each of them. So you see here when it was sent, when it was placed, and that's for each recipient. Our delivery options, I mentioned out of network transcripts. And we do apply security here, so the transcript cannot be tampered with. That's this blue ribbon you see here at the top. And then we will brand the transcript with your watermark, registrar signature, and apply your transcript legend or backer as well. And that's for out-of-network transcripts. For in-network, that's our ETX exchange network. And this is where they would be the receiver, so the institutions can go in and download the transcripts either one by one or in bulk, and they can see a bunch of information about the actual transcript, where it came from, who it was for, and then they can see if it's been downloaded or not. And we do apply the watermark, registrar signature, and backer to these transcripts as well. The last option is our secure print, where we print and mail transcripts on your behalf. And we do apply all the same stuff to security paper in an evident proof envelope and send it off to that receiver. The school administrative pages, this is for our fast customers, but our faster or fastest can also go in here and view and search for orders. You can do different search criteria. Our summary snapshot would just show you all current orders, but you can go back and search for old orders from the time you activate the service moving forward. We also have a reports tab and an administrative tab. That reports tab provides you a bunch of different options for reports to view on your usage and where the transcripts are going and your reconciliation. All of that can be found here. And that administrative tab, the last one, is where you can actually update the welcome page the students see when they land on yourselves. You don't have to rely on the clearinghouse, you can do that yourself. Here's just an example of one of our reports. Our transcript volume report provides how many orders were placed within the time frame you searched, what the different processing options are, and you can also see the delivery options, the transcript types if you use that, transcript purpose, and who it's going to. The clearinghouse support, so we do provide school support to you all, and that's our implementation contact, your client success manager, and your regional relationship manager. And then the student alumni support, we provide customer service via phone support and email support, and then online help center and FAQs, and a chatbot that's available 24/7 as well. If you'd like more information on the Clearinghouse transcript services or any of our other services, please reach out to your regional relationship manager. If you're not sure who that is, we can get you a link to who that is and their contact information. So are there any questions that have come through?
Yeah, we have one. I think this might be kind of related to eligibility. The question is, if a transfer student has a past balance due at a previous university and therefore not able to get that transcript, will they show up in the clearinghouse? And I think the answer to that might be related to when the student's coming through the eligibility center, we do a cross-check against the clearinghouse database that's on the research side, so we can see which institutions they've been to. So I think what's happened is that the student didn't include the attendance at that institution, but then we found it in the clearinghouse, therefore we needed the transcript. So they were saying that they had several students who'd withheld that information. I hope that that kind of clarifies, but the answer would be if they're in the clearinghouse system as having attended an institution, then the eligibility center would need a transcript for it. And sometimes that does happen, that they have a balance due, and so they're having a hard time getting it. But there aren't not every single institution reports attendance to the clearinghouse. So there are instances in which the institution chooses not to send that data in, so we wouldn't know about it. But I don't know the stat right offhand, but it's a very high percentage of institutions that are reporting data to the clearinghouse.
Yeah, I think we might add real quick, something that I took away from that question as well was maybe the order status that's included in the task list. And if a student has a past due balance and can't send a transcript through the clearinghouse, on the Play NAIA profile within that transcript task, it would ultimately say like there was that order status. It would say that the order status couldn't be fulfilled, or like that particular transcript can't be sent to the eligibility center if for whatever reason the student is not able to get the transcript from that institution, such as a past due balance. So that might be like an additional piece to that as well.
And
Okay.
from the clearinghouse side, we do collect hold statuses and how to clear those holds. So if the student was to place the order themselves, they'd actually get the information on how to clear that hold, or they could contact your institution as well.
Great. Samantha, how do they get set up?
You would contact your regional relationship manager either to receive transcripts from the clearinghouse or to get set up with our transcript ordering services as well. It's the same contact for both.
Okay, so this is a clarifying question around if you're opting in and you're becoming a clearinghouse and you're using the transcript services, the question is, are those for sending transcripts for all students, or are they only for student athletes to the NAIA Eligibility Center? So that's a great question. If you're using transcript services for the clearinghouse, then that's applicable to all of your students. They handle everyone. The partnership that we have is that it's essentially integrated and automated. Any of those student athletes who have an institution that they've attended who is in the clearinghouse network. So let's say you are a transcript services client of the clearinghouse, your student athletes would no longer need to put their own request in through your system. It would come through automatically once they register. And then you still get the fee on the back end that you would have gotten, whatever you're charging students. You will still get that payment from the clearinghouse since the student is really technically still using the clearinghouse to send it. It's just that the student themselves doesn't have to do that application form. And then someone else is asking, does this process affect the NAIA portal? So that's a great question. A little bit of background. We have an NAIA registrar's portal where institutions can upload their transcript directly to the Eligibility Center. That still remains a possibility. So you can still leverage that. The difference, though, is that you might have less need to because your students, again, are going to be automatically going through this front end system, and therefore the transcript will happen automatically. But let's say there's an updated grade or the kid's in a pinch and you need to get the transcript to us. You can absolutely still leverage your portal. Josh, if there's anything else that you want to add related to that.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. The portal is still there. It's still accessible. I guess this might be a good place to note that from the NAIA side, the Eligibility Center side, we're only sending one order for a transcript per student. And so if there is a need, kind of like Leah alluded to, if there's a need for an updated transcript, then you would still be able to use the registrar's portal as a quick way to get that to the Eligibility Center.
Yeah, great. Okay, I think this last question was basically asking the same thing. Like if we're in an SC school and we have the NAIA portal, like which one do we use? But I hope we've helped clarify that it's the automatic one through the clearinghouse will be the default, but then a residual as needed portal will be available. If we are a current National Student Clearinghouse customer, is there anything else we need to do?
Nope, it's automatically added on. So we have about 4 different partners that use the same type of service that NAIA uses. So it's automatically turned on. There's nothing additional one of our active customers has to do. The system does it for you. So you are all set and that's it. Nothing additional.
Great. And just a side note, the only, I guess, action item in that case would be that you could upgrade if you liked the additional faster and fastest. If you're not already one of those customers, you could certainly engage with Samantha's team to upgrade. And again, it just basically helps the students get those transcripts faster on the back end. Thank you, Samantha, for your time talking us through this. And thanks everyone for joining. I hope that you found this useful. Feel free to reach out to Josh Smith or myself if you have questions on the eligibility side.
Thank you, everyone. And I will also get the link out to who your regional relationship person is so you can contact them if you want a longer, more in-depth presentation or have additional questions about transcript services or the National Student Clearinghouse.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.